Hey, it's Mr. Unorthodox here, coming with knowledge that's simply outside the box. Now, I'm responding to let's say, a request that was put out by an individual in which he basically suggested that I make a video response to address the question, who is God, male or female? First, I want to examine the question, because if you don't examine the question, you come to a false conclusion. Let's draw attention to the presumption and then the false conclusion being drawn here. The presumption is that human beings are God. The false conclusion is based on the presumption. Therefore, because of this faulty logic, we have to determine if God is either a male or a female. We have to see this question for what it is. It's a loaded question, somewhat of a red herring, and a sleight of hand trick. Because God, and when I say that, I mean in the monotheistic sense, is not female or male in terms that we humans understand, nor are human beings gods for that matter. If God was either a man or a woman, that would mean the powerful, timeless, shapeless being has a gender, which we understand that God was never born or created. The masculine and feminine faculties are facets of the creation of God, meaning that he embodies masculine and feminine principles, not faculties such as reproductive organs or genitalia. His principles are spiritual balance, perfection, which are demonstrated through the creation of mankind. The unity of man and woman are complementary opposites and images of the invisible qualities of God. This is hard for people to understand. The fact that we cannot truly comprehend that God is an all powerful, timeless, shapeless being that created everything and embodies perfect balance. That's why there's so many different opinions on what God is, and gods and goddesses are depicted by different cultures as male and female depending on the interpretations of the people. Creation, destruction, the sun, the moon, or what have you. Most of these gods are symbols that are used to explain ideas and natural phenomena such as rain, war, water, and love. This does not necessarily denote a real being or deity. Many gods were in fact false gods. There were in some civilizations hundreds of gods to explain why things happened that they didn't understand. So the masculine and feminine faculties of God, male or female, are largely created by people. These are carnal ideas and systems that were useful for humans to explain the world. Yet it is true historically and culturally that the gods or spirits themselves, through divine revelation or manifestations, take on masculine and feminine principles and identities. In this case, we turn to the holy books. There exists, of course, literature, papyrus, and stone tablets. Ancient peoples wrote to profess true knowledge or experience with the gods or spirits. So I'm making a distinction between the many gods and goddesses that were created by man's imagination versus those purported to be divine revelations. This is important to understand because it's a big distinction. Fantasy versus reality, because not every god or spirit carries more weight than a fairy tale or culture's imagination, nor is every depiction of gods or goddesses false, so we must consider the validity of the gods and goddesses. This is especially true when we talk about wicked spirits or fallen angels taking on roles and being given worship as gods, which has happened throughout humanity, but I'll cover that some other time. Dealing primarily with the religions that profess knowledge of God, in the Hebrew Bible, for example, God calls himself Yahweh or Jehovah to some, and he's known as the Father. That's in Christianity as well as Christianity as well as Hinduism, Islam, Egyptian religions, certain Nile civilizations, etc. The creators identified themselves as the Father, a notable masculine attribution. Gender was never an issue in the papyrus tablets or glyphs. That was the simplest affirmation that was revealed to man through the Word of God. Gender was never a question, and this is supported through the holy books like the Bible, Torah, or the Quran. It's only when you get into the mythology, man-made religion, or paganism, and occult mystery systems do we deal with the female as the divine creative being. So the distinction is between religions who profess through divine revelation that the Creator is known as the Father versus man-made religions who explain through storytelling about what they think. Reasonably, the importance of the female is stated in many different holy books as well. Femininity is very important to every aspect of life itself. Now, God is the authority when it comes to who and what is masculine and feminine. If the Ancient of Days considered himself a father, then it is he who declared this true, and it is by way of the Father that man has been made in his image. The first step to being a man and to being conscious is to understand your eternal Father. If you do not recognize his declared persona, it would be somewhat silly to reason that you understand the complex sciences, mathematics, and the things that have not been revealed openly. The man who has no father cannot truly understand himself or lead other men to accurate knowledge of themselves. He can only lead them to confusion. Therefore, God is known as the Father. So the real question should be, who is God the Father? And one should compare man-made religions versus religions that profess direct knowledge from God. So I think I answered the question that, of course, it would be basically he is known as the Father in all of the faiths that profess direct knowledge and experience with God. Now, the woman is recognized as the mother of mankind. She brought humanity upon the earth. So her importance in nature, physically and symbolically, also metaphysically, represented in abundance. So we're not trying to discount the woman, but we're shedding light on the importance of the Father and why his nature is set up this way. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Hope you liked the video.